Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Back with another one. Back with another before I go to bed. I guess I've been on a kind of sabbatical hiatus. Shoot, it's been rough on these YouTube streets. Oh, is that you, Money Low? Because I got to ask you something. I just thought about it. I don't know if that's Money Low or not. Hey, I wanted to ask you about Baby Huey. But anyway, we back with another one. Shout out to my new subscribers. I really appreciate you. We gonna get into this because I got to get up and work in the morning. I miss church again. So here we go. Oh, that must not have been him. ICE raids aren't just a Latino issue. Black communities are also at risk. This is the thing. Because what they did was Biden Harris administration, when they come over here, they ain't putting them in white affluent communities. They putting them in black communities, which are already hard hit with their own issues. Then to have people to come in that don't speak English, and then is gang affiliated as well. So it's not just Mexican people they are looking for. One TikToker told her audience it's all immigrants that are obviously not white. Facts. On February 18, 2 weeks after having her son by C-section, modern Monique Rodriguez was battling postpartum depression. The black mother, too, who was born and raised in St. Catherine Parish in Jamaica, had come to the U.S. in 2022 on a 6-month visa and settled in Florida with her husband. So she came in during that Biden Harris. But after finding herself alone or overwhelmed from the lack of support, my husband is American, a first time dad, and was scared of hurting the baby. He kept pushing the baby off on me, which I didn't like. I was in pain and I was tired and overwhelmed. I got frustrated and I hit my husband, she says. A family member called the police, resulting in Rodriguez's arrest. Suddenly, her husband, I guess he got out on bail the following day. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was waiting to detain her despite being married and having pending green card applications. She became one of the thousands of immigrants deported this year because of contact with police. Well, now you at home in Jamaica. Since Donald Trump took office the second time, ICE has been raiding immigrant communities across the nation. That's what I voted for. Prior to the raids, black immigrants like Rodriguez have historically been targeted at higher rates due to systemic racism. Okay, welcome to our world. With a host of complications, including anti blackness, colorism in the Latino community, which often leaves black immigrants out of conversations around protest and solidarity. The future is bleak, and black immigrants and immigration attorneys are predicting a triple down effect effort to black communities in America, making them more vulnerable. We not vulnerable, we born here. On June 6th, protests broke out in Los Angeles, whose population is roughly half Hispanic, and 1 in 5 residents live with an undocumented person. On TikTok, Latino creators and activists called on black creators and community members to protest and stand in solidarity. Fuck no. Hell no. No, that's y'all fight. But to their disappointment, many black Americans remain silent, some even voicing that the current deportations were not their fight. It's not. It's not our fight. You on your own. Latinos have been completely silent when black people are getting deported by ICE. Black people don't get deported. Oh, you mean the black immigrants? Says Alexander Duncan, a Los Angeles resident who made a viral TikTok on the subject. All of a sudden, it impacts them and they want black people in the front lines. Hell no. Prejudice has long been a part of our community, but the blatant dismissal of ICE raids at a Latino issue is off base. For some black Americans, the reluctancy to put their bodies online isn't out of apathy, but self-preservation. Facts. Duncan, who moved from New York City to a predominantly Mexican area, one of my neighbors who has done microaggressions was like, I haven't seen you go to the protest. I said, bro, you haven't spoken to me in 6 months. Why would you think I'm going to front lines for you and you're not even a good neighbor? Facts. Following the 2024 elections, many black Democratic voters disengaged. Nationally, the Latino community support for Donald Trump doubled from 2016 when he first won, despite notable increases of support for Trump across all marginalized demographics. Latinos Republican votes set a new record, and it did. Anti-blackness is a huge sentiment in the Latino community, right? And we ain't helping y'all. I've seen a lot of Latinos complain they aren't receiving support from black community, but 70% of people in Miami are Latino or foreign born, and 55% voted for Trump. Although 51% of Latino community voted for Kamala Harris, black folks had the highest voting percentage for a Democratic ballot at 83%. For people like Duncan, the 48% of Latinos who voted for Trump did so against both Latino and black communities' interests. The black community feels betrayed. No, I don't, because I voted for him too. No, I don't. It's a common misconception that deportation and raids only affect Latinos, but black folks are impacted even more negatively by the immigration system. The devastation that deportation causes cannot be overstated. When ICE detained Rodriguez in February, weeks after filing her green card application, there was no consideration she was giving birth 2 weeks prior. Charlene, I was just taken away from my child. I was leaking breast milk all over. I was still bleeding because I just had the baby. I was on medication, but I didn't get those back. Rodriguez thought her situation was unique until she was transported to Louisiana Detention Center and met other detained mothers. I was probably the only one there that had a newborn, but there were women that were ripped away from babies 3 months to 14 years old. You can bring your kids, you can take your kids back with you. On May 29th, her 30th birthday, Rodriguez was one of the 107 people sent to Jamaica. Around the same time, Jermaine Thomas, born on a U.S. Army base in Germany, oh, I gotta get this where his father served for 2 years, was also flown there. Though his father was born in Jamaica, Thomas has never been there and, with the exception of his birth, has lived within the U.S. all of his life. I'm one of the lucky ones, said Rodriguez, who is now back in Jamaica with her baby and husband, who maintained their American citizenship. My husband and his mom took care of the baby when I was away, but there's no process. There's just taking away from your kids, and some of your kids end up in foster care. Now, you could have took the baby back with you. You could have. You could have took the baby back with you. In January, Joe Biden presumptuously pardoned Marcus Garvey, America's first notable deportation of Jamaican descent in 1927. His faulty conviction of mail fraud set a precedent for convicted black and brown migrants within the U.S. 76% of black migrants are deported because of contact with police and have been in this country for a long time. Alliance for Just Immigration, a 2021 report from the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants, found that while only 7% of the immigrant population is black immigrants make up 20% of deportations convictions, including low-level nonviolent offenses. If you're from the Caribbean, it's even higher. For Jamaicans, it's 98% higher. People talk about Chinese Exclusion Act, but I've recently learned that the first people excluded from the country were Haitians. On June 27, the Trump administration announced the removal of temporary protected status for Haitians starting in September, putting thousands of migrants in jeopardy given Haiti's political climate. Though a judge ruled it unconstitutional, the threat to black migrants remains. You have black U.S. citizens being grabbed by ICE and held for days. They ain't being held for days. They being held for hours and let go. That's a lie. Black people are being told their real IDs are not real, with much of the coverage concerning the outrage being based around Latino immigrants. Some feel disconnected from the issue, often forgetting that 12% of Latinos are black in the United States. Oh, now you want to recognize the Afro Latino. A lot of the conversation is ICE isn't looking for black people, they're looking for Hispanics. Anika, she a black Panamanian TikTok creator, said to her 1.7 million followers, but it's not just Mexican people they're looking for, it's all immigrants that are obviously not white. Absolutely, take y'all ass back home. A lot of times, as black Americans, we don't realize that people may be Caribbean or West African. Her family moved to the U.S. in the 80s after her grandfather worked in the American zone of the Panama Canal and was awarded visas for him and his family. If I didn't tell you I was Panamanian, you could assume I was any other ethnicity. They depict immigration one way, but I want to give a different perspective as somebody who is visibly black. Americans' racism is partly to blame. Los Angeles has the largest number of um, Belize, they from Belize, in the United States, but people don't know because they get mixed in with African Americans. The pathway forward is complex. Rodriguez and Sylvester, whose children are U.S. citizens, hope to come back to America to witness milestones like graduation and marriage. I want to be able to go and be of emotional support. But you could have took your baby back with you. I came to America battered and bruised for a new opportunity. I understand there are laws, but those laws also stated that if you overstay, there are ways to situate yourself, but they forced me out. You should have took good care of it while you was here. Activists like God5 want all Americans, especially those marginalized, to pay attention. Black folks have been feeling the brunt of police to deportation pipeline, and black people right now are being arrested in immigration court. In a country where mass incarceration overwhelmingly impacts black people, Godfrey sees these deportations as a warning sign. Here's another article. Let me see. Okay, so in elementary school, Odega's first airport visit was to watch his father, an immigrant from Nigeria, get deported back to his birth country. It's triggering, the 27-year-old LA public school teacher said about the past week. To see the videos of people being basically kidnapped, it brings, they not y'all not being damn kidnapped. Y'all going back where the fuck you came from. Ain't nobody kidnapping you. Shit, go the fuck back home. The mass immigration rates across LA County triggered a lot more people in the region, home to the second most undocumented migrants in the country. Still, the protests have erupted. The question hanging over the protest for black Angelenos quickly moved beyond just immigration policy to who belongs in the neighborhoods and the city where belonging itself has been contested for decades. Black residents sparked heated debate about solidarity, displacement, and complex racial dynamics. Okay, they're talking about Rodney King. One social media post, black people be warned, go home, this is not your battle to fight. That's a fact, it ain't our battle. Other black residents expressed feeling targeted attack on migrant communities was not their battle to fight because of their own experience with displacement. That's a fact. This is a notion of disengagement that took root amongst black folks and that this attack had nothing to do with them. Growing up in South LA, the first anti black insults that I heard were from Latinos. That's a fact. Obego said, so I understand how these conditions have divided people. We have to remember that we're fighting for. It's very easy for our communities to be pitted against each other, but this is petty, clearly Trump's war on California. No, it's not. I think people are so used to seeing how black people have shown up and we're always leading the struggle. But just because we're not the loudest in the room today doesn't mean we're not supporting or caring about the issue. I don't care. There are over 4 million black immigrants living in the U.S., which is 20% of the nation's black population. California has the sixth most black immigrants in the county. Man, this is a long article. Okay, let me grab my other phone. Ugh, okay. Ugh, all right. Okay, let me see. All right, we're gonna start with this one, how it affects us.
Welcome back to Unleashed with Mark Morano on TNT. All right, we're talking with Donna Jackson from Project 21. She's the Director of Membership Development. Okay, question. Washington Post recently had their Climate Solutions Reporter. That's an actual title of the reporter.
This is National Center for
Clothing
Public.
made from human hair being more sustainable than clothing made from animals or synthetic fabrics. Synthetic fabrics, of course, require fossil fuels, and animal hair like wool requires animal agriculture, which creates belching and farting and methane.
Okay, let me get out of here.
That they want these open air prisons. They call them smart cities. I call them, everybody takes public transport car ownership. I hate to use the word, the plan.
That's the 3 new items of clothing per person per year by the year 2030. So the question for you is simple, Donna. Will you wear clothing made from human hair in order to stop global warming?
Not one article will I wear. No, this again is, you know, slavery under a different name. You can't be and to take you to work and then drop you off, but you can't leave the plant. I hate to use the word plantation. This is crazy. They really want people to get used to scarcity. They want to make sure that they diminish people's standard of living. They want to take away mobility from individuals, so they're going to take away your ability to have private car ownership. They want to take away the amount of space you're able to have for your family. It's crazy to think that they want these open air prisons. They call them smart cities, where everybody lives in the box. Everybody takes transportation. But
Okay.
jets, living in mansions, multiple homes, the most upset about illegal. If they really want is slow. They don't care if they can bring in and replace a whole group of individuals.
Facts.
There's nothing wrong with our planet. There's nothing wrong with our planet. The only problem is that you have socialists and Marxists that want all the property consolidated by the government and in the hands of a few individuals.
Facts.
And they want to take away the right of an entire population. First of all, African Americans, and I don't mean to, harp on this so much. African Americans fought for decades to be recognized as full citizens.
Facts.
Now you have millions of people, tens of millions of people coming over through the southern border and getting more rights
Facts.
than African Americans have today.
Facts.
This is outrageous. It's like everything that we worked for was for nothing.
Facts.
Because they're here, they're just using resources, they're not adding to the economy. And the fact that these grifters are advocating to continue this is shameful.
It is.
It's really shameful.
It is.
The most racist people are these elite black liberals pushing this, these elite minorities pushing this, because at the end of the day, we all are created equal and we should have equal opportunities. And if it doesn't matter the color of our skin, we are Americans first.
Facts.
I see myself as an American. I have to be reminded that I'm a black American because I see no difference in my ability to obtain the American dream. And it has nothing to do with what someone else does to me. It has to do with the effort that I put forward. And that should be everybody. And we shouldn't allow other people to be pushed in the front of the line because you have a liberal group of individuals who
Facts.
want to add more seats, congressional seats, because they can be that it's going to be like that. Everything they're doing is draining the resources of honest tax-paying citizens.
Facts.
And it's not right.
Facts.
Close the border, build a wall, and make everybody wait their turn.
Facts.
All right, and there's also some indications that the whole woke critical race theory, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion agenda is facing backlash now on some campuses and even some prominent liberals, people like Anna Kasparian of Youngbloods and these progressives who are now saying that it's not working out and it's turning people, turning race against race, and it's not promoting American values. What do you think the future of this critical race, DEI, all these policies in academia and in the corporate world, do you see them ending soon, or is America stuck with this new, this new form of, the critical race theory for decades to come?
No, I think it's going to be pushed back. Listen, it was never going to be profitable for a corporation to add a DEI officer that had no ties to the P&L. So they have no ties to making sure they build a better product, have better services. They were just there to find racism that didn't exist. I mean, careerism is always there. We're seeing on college campuses the recklessness that's happening in our education system, where it's
I'm gonna say that video.
All right, now, we all know President Donald Trump has been convicted of 34 counts of falsifying business records by a New York jury. Again, I think it just is galvanizing his support for the 45th president, who insists that the trial was rigged. He said it several times and is now vowing to appeal the verdict. And as his general support base energizes, Trump's been seeing a lot of momentum rise, particularly among black voters, and winning only, I think it was only 8% of the base in 2016. 12 went up to 12%. There it is on the screen in 2020. Trump is now looking at a resounding support from 20% of that voting volume.
That's right.
Meantime, the Biden administration's struggling to garner support among African Americans, and it set off alarm bells among black Democrats who feel his policies are out of touch with what the demographic is actually looking for.
So to break this all down, how the verdict is going to impact the African American vote this November, let's welcome in senior Trump advisor Lynn Patton and policy analyst Donna Jackson. Ladies, good morning and thank you for joining us today. Lynn, I will come to you first. How do you see this jury's decision impacting the turnout among black voters?
Well, like every American, black and brown Americans are tuning in and recognizing a two-tier system of injustice under which our communities have suffered for decades. And that is why you see Donald J. Trump surging up 6 points post-conviction and setting record-shattering fundraising. Couple that, of course, with the fact that they've been betrayed by Biden's failing policies. And so unless Biden and Kamala are going to apologize to black and brown communities for record high grocery and gas prices, rampant crime, and putting illegals and Ukrainians first,
Facts.
then obviously their rollout is not worth the purchases that it's written off.
Yeah, those are some great points, Donna. I'll come over to you. Donna, I think I was in the Marine Corps, and I served with a lot of African American and Latinos. We all had the exact same issues when we were in the Marine Corps. I mean, we're no different. And I think that the Biden administration is a little bit tone deaf to think that the African American communities or the Latino communities or the Asian communities are seeing things differently. The cost of everything is through the roof. You can't fill up your car without spending a ton of money. You have crime rampant in the streets, and you have illegal immigration that's overrunning all of your whether it's
The black community.
You can go on and on, all of the resources from your community. And at the end of the day, it's the quality of life and how people can take care of their families that all of us kind of understand and care about. Is that this verdict, I think, just doubles down on that, because those are the things Donald Trump is talking about, and they're going to put him in jail to make sure he can't do those things. What do you think about that?
You're absolutely right, but I want to say something about this verdict. You can hardly find a civil rights leader from the 50s and 60s that didn't have a felony, that wasn't put in jail. When you think about 1 in 3 black males has a felony, black Americans have been crying for decades that the justice system was against them. And what the left just proved is that we were right.
Yep.
That our families
Yep.
have been disproportionately impacted by the justice system that has been rigged against us. And now nobody can say that we're being overly sensitive.
That's a
Because
fact.
what they've shown is that they are right. And then you couple that with the fact that illegal immigrants are coming to this country and getting more rights. They have
Facts.
more financial support. The resources in the communities are being taken away from African Americans and given to illegal immigrants, shows that we were never prioritized.
Facts.
You have people in senior citizens' homes being put out on the street. On the street. You have people that are waiting 10 years for a housing voucher. And you have illegal immigrants that come in immediately, and get free housing.
Yep.
Their kids, they have health care. They have community centers that are badly needed in communities where there's crime, and those community centers are being emptied for illegal immigrants.
Facts.
What the left has proved is that the only use they have for black Americans is our vote. And
Facts.
after that, we don't matter at all.
Those are some great points. Yeah, I just want to end with this note. I've been hearing from a lot of people that I'm speaking to in minority communities that they feel they're being replaced by these illegal immigrants.
Facts.
Because
They are.
can't fix the policies.
We are.
So they're just going to replace the electorate. But we do have to leave it there.
Yeah,
So.
Donna, it was fantastic.
Okay, welcome back to State of the Nation. Well, as we spoke in the last segment, we were talking about how black Americans and minority Americans of all colors and ethnicities are starting to wake up. It looks like they're starting to question some of these progressive leaders and the policies that have done more harm than good in many, many cases. We've discussed New York City. We could go right on down the list with LA and San Fran, Chicago, wherever. Americans grappling with these issues: widespread crime, a crisis on the southern border, racist DEI policies, confusion on gender and sexuality, and all of this. And so even ambassadors with Project 21 Black Leadership Network recognize the achievements of black Americans during Black History Month, and that's what we're in right now. But they're not looking backwards. They're filled with optimism as they look towards the future. And we're so happy to welcome, first time on the program, Project 21 Director of Membership Development, Donna Jackson. Donna, hello. Welcome to State of the Nation. It's wonderful to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. We were talking in our last segment with our prior guest about what's happening in the inner city and in the urban communities regarding politics. People are starting to wake up. They're seeing neighborhoods riddled with crime, even more than they've ever seen it before. No cash bail policies, stuff that are really having a proportional effect on these very communities that the left, acts as if they give a rip about. Well, that's not playing out. So what are you seeing? We heard Charlemagne the God get on there basically saying, nope, I'm not going to vote for Biden. We've seen several other black celebrities and influencers come out and question the Democrat Party. What are you seeing with Project 21?
Oh my gosh. A lot of my members live in some of these larger cities that are plagued by escalating crime, by failing schools, and by illegal immigration.
Yep.
That is a huge issue in minority communities because the Democrats said that illegal immigration is great for the country. What they didn't tell Black Americans is that all of these illegal immigrants are going to be placed in your community.
Right.
Now, I
That
was
part.
just talking to one
That
of my
part.
members today. He said the real plot of putting illegal immigrants in minority communities is so that they can make sure that African American youth go to prison.
Facts.
Because what they're doing is housing them in schools. They're closing down schools, high schools at a record number. They're actually closing down community centers. And they're using these places to house illegal immigrants so that you have young people that have nothing to do. So they're not getting educated in school. When you have a school system, it is not an unintended consequence. When you have Chicago school system, Baltimore school system, you have Miami, you have Milwaukee, you have all of these urban school systems where either 0%, get this, 0% of the high school graduates can actually read at an efficient level.
And that's a
Not only
fact.
read, but they can't write, they can't do math, they can't do science, any of these things. So what are you doing? You're shutting down the school systems to make sure that the kids are illiterate. And then you're making sure that they don't have outside activities so that they can be preoccupied with something else. So
Facts.
what do you have? All of these people that are turning to crime because there's nothing else. And what happens when you have youth that are have nothing to do? They end up committing crimes. And so this is an intended consequence. The Democrats and the liberal left like what I call government sanctioned terror.
Come on.
Because as
Come
long
on.
as you have government sanctioned terror, then you have people always crying out to the government for help. A lot of Black Americans are seeing that this is what they always planned from the beginning. Everything that the liberals say is always, wait, we're working on it. You know, they've been promising Black people tomorrow. You know how long tomorrow has lasted when they said they were going to bring solutions to Black communities? 60 years. 60 years. Liberal cities have been run by Democrats. And instead of those areas getting better, it's been doing nothing but getting worse. And so you have a staggering dropout rate. I mean, to the point that they don't even hide it anymore. They're not even offering high school education. They're just blatantly closing the school because they don't even plan on the kids even making it to that level. I mean, when you're in an urban city of millions of residents and you have one or two at best high schools, they never planned on you actually making it there. And that's because that was their intention. I'll tell you one thing, and I'm sorry I'm talking a long time. I always say, there's two ways to build the government: war and the poor. And let me tell you something. The poverty industrial complex is just as wealthy or probably more lucrative than the military industrial complex. The more poor people you produce, the more money you can have allocated to federal government agencies, resources, and these non-NGOs that make a buck off of them.
Facts.
If you go and do an analysis of all the money they allocate to poverty, only less than 30%, and I'm thinking that's high. It's probably less than that. You know, every time the Biden administration or the left talks about
Donna,
before we start talking about the solutions, tell me about Trump. I see online lots of stories about Black Americans starting or supporting Trump in larger numbers. What is the politics about all of this at the moment? Are more blacks fed up with Biden and going to support Trump this year, do you think?
What you see is Black Americans really taking a look at the policies that each of these two individuals put forward. During the Trump era, it was actually the golden era for African Americans.
It sure
it
was.
a blue-collar boom. There was record home ownership.
Yes, it was.
Permanent funding for historically black colleges.
Yes.
There was prison reform. There was entrepreneurship. I mean, the rate increases and financial stability of African Americans and those on the lower rung was faster than that in the 1%.
Facts.
Today, in Bidenomics, you have the exact opposite. Bidenomics is you pay more for less.
Facts.
You have artificial scarcity. You are, all of a sudden you have white collar workers that have the same characteristics of the lower class. You have a shrinking middle class. I mean, they can't buy homes. They can't afford homes.
Yeah.
They can't afford vehicles. They're living paycheck to paycheck. I say paycheck to Wednesday, and then they have to borrow to the rest of the end of the week. All of a sudden, depleting savings. I mean, African Americans are paying attention, and not only that, more egregious is that the Biden administration has actually been importing huge numbers of illegal immigrants, and where are they being placed? In minority communities.
Facts.
All of a sudden, minority kids are being kicked out of their schools so you can house the illegal immigrants.
That don't speak English.
Community centers where after-school programs where they're being closed so that they can house illegal immigrants. People are being put out of senior citizen homes to make room for illegal immigrants. I mean, all of the money and resources that has been earmarked for African American communities are now going to illegal immigrants.
Facts.
And it's egregious. I mean, African Americans work really hard to become citizens and recognized as citizens in America. You think about the civil rights movement, Jim Crow, all of that. Now, all of a sudden, you have this huge population of illegal immigrants that automatically get citizenship. I mean, they might not get the papers, but they have all of the resources.
Facts.
Illegal immigrants in this country are getting as much as $9,000 a month. Free housing, automatic loans, cars. They're getting every resource available that even African Americans to this day some can't afford.
Can't get.
What they're looking at is the fact that, wait a minute, this group who
Can't speak English.
actually contributes to
Don't want to
success
learn English.
in terms of being in positions because of African Americans have actually turned their backs and created policies that are hurting African Americans even more. And so I think that's the shift, because people realize that the policies that the left has is actually hurting them, and everybody's eyes are open. I mean, I'll tell you this. When Trump got in office, it was probably the best thing that happened to this country, because all of a sudden, African Americans see the media bias, what they've talked about forever. They see the justice system being used against them, which they've been talking about forever, and they realize that all of these...
I like Donna Jackson.
Welcome back
back to Unleashed with Mark Morano on TNT. All right. Back by popular demand is Donna Jackson, the Project 21 Director of Membership Development.
She is
at the National
awesome.
Center. Welcome back to the program, Unleashed on TNT, Donna.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
We got a lot of good feedback. A lot of good feedback from your last segment, and a lot of great clips were made of it as well. So, you know, a tall order to match what you did last time. I don't want to put any pressure on you now.
All right.
All right. Well, let's just start. We're in the middle of an election year right now. Joe Biden just gave his State of the Union address, and a lot of people are speculating that
I wanted to get to this
With
one.
low-cost labor, African Americans, you know, if you want to build a family, you need financial stability. But you can't do that if you're competing for a job that all of a sudden used to pay $15, now it's paying $7. Or used to pay $20 and now it's paying $6. I mean, this is the whole point. And, you know, in Chicago, and this is amazing, in Chicago, the school board is considered a sanctuary city. You know what that means? That if an illegal immigrant goes to the Chicago public school system, they have to get preference in jobs. They can't be fired while they're trying to clear up their immigration status.
Oh, that's
They
some bullshit.
automatically got two seats on the school board without ever running for elections.
That's bullshit.
2 seats. They have unprecedented power. They're actually putting people out of retirement communities to make room for illegal immigrants. They took some $53 million away from after-school programs for illegal immigrants. The people in that area are livid. And the other thing is this: when you look at somebody, you can't tell that they're legal, or when you look at Latinos, and my mother-in-law fell into this category. You can't look at somebody and say, oh, they're illegal and they're not. No, they just look Hispanic. So however badly you treat an illegal immigrant, legal citizens are getting treated that badly now.
Facts.
Because the American public are mad at everybody. And so illegal people who fought and came into this country legally, or maybe was born in this country, are now getting treated and feeling the same anger towards them that illegal immigrants are getting, treated today. And so a lot of people, I mean, it was Hispanics that were the first ones that actually said to me, these illegal immigrants shouldn't get preference because my
Facts.
family worked so hard to become legal citizens, and it's not fair to us all the work and the money that we had to put in to get here legally for them to just be able to get the same benefits and actually get treated
Facts.
better. And
Facts.
I think that's the point. I mean, when you think of how difficult it's been for the American, throughout Americans, for Black Americans to be seen as legal citizens, civil rights movement, all of these struggles that we've gone through for our citizenship, and now you have illegal immigrants that come over here and are being treated better. I mean, that made citizenship mean nothing.
Facts.
That made the civil rights movement look like nothing when you see that somebody can actually come over here, not work within the legal system, and then get preferential treatment where individuals that struggled for decades had to fight for it. I mean, how is that fair
Facts.
to anyone? It's not.
Well, are African Americans organizing against this? Are they going to vote a certain way? I mean, are they going to send a message at the ballot box? What do you think is going to come of this? Again, you've laid it out, a very good case of why this is devastating to Black communities across America.
Yes, and it is devastating. This will be the last one.
I serve on the board with Kathleen on there, but I'm also
the Director of Membership Development for Project 21 Black Leadership Network. And I think that's important to understand. We are Asian and Black communities. I have a large network in Chicago of Black pastors who called and said, can you help us? There's reality and there's perception. And we need to not understand how powerful perception is. Here's the perception of African American males. They think that mass immigration of illegal immigrants in their community is so that they can swap out Black people for brown.
Facts.
They believe that they're put there deliberately to take those jobs.
Yes, they are.
Industry, low-skilled jobs that are historically held by African American males. They believe that they're there to displace them.
They
so
are.
That they don't have economic power, so they can be pushed back.
They are.
Second, they believe that they're there so that they can take control of their community. I hear from leaders in Black urban communities that Bidju, Don't Lean Right, are saying to me that they're meeting with people and they're seeing these immigrants in their community actually recruiting members to be gang members. Why? Because they want to take control of the community. They believe that there's a plot to make sure that there is no Black ownership
Facts.
of
Facts.
of housing because they have deliberately planted all of the illegal immigrants purposely in minority communities to sow discourse.
They have, because they ain't in any affluent white areas. It is deliberate. Facts. It is deliberate. They ain't planted in no white areas, no rural areas, none of that. They placed them in Black urban areas that's already struggling. Yes, you being displaced. Facts.
The last thing that I would hate to say, but it's true, is that they believe that the left is deliberately setting up a scenario where there's going to be a racial war not between Black and white, but between Black and brown.
That's a fact.
I serve on the board with
Oh shoot, and I
Kathleen
done lost
O'Leary,
my
also the director
I done
of
lost my
Membership
whole
Development
thought.
for
But
Project
that's a
21.
fact.
That Bidju, Don't Lean Right, are set not between Black and white, but between Black and brown. The fact that the majority of illegal immigrants that you've seen in the last year are actually male, military,
Facts.
age individuals.
Gang members.
A lot of those individuals have been incarcerated, gang members, all of these situations.
Trinidad DeWagwa.
We have a community that the Biden, I call him Lock 'em Up Joe, right? Now he didn't just take fathers out of the house, he took fathers out of the community completely. So there's already a shortage of Black males in the community. Now you're putting mass amounts of Black Army-ready illegal immigrants in there.
So what I'm talking about, they still there in the community. ICE ain't rounded all of them up. They still in the Black communities. Now they done deported 1.2 million have self-deported, thank God. But when you dealing with about 12 to 15 million illegals that came across the border from 2021 under the Biden-Harris administration till Trump got in, and there's no crossings now, 0. That's a hell of a lot of people you got to get the hell up out of here. You say Black men can't do shit to make their neighborhood. Well, you got some good Black men out here that's trying. So I have to disagree with you, John. And you say, why don't American Blacks make their own nation? That's a good question. Where they gonna make it at? First, you got to get the land. Where they gonna make it at? Because first you gotta buy the land. Then you have to create a government. Then you have to create a currency.
What do you think is going to happen? Now, perception is a powerful thing. For the first time, you have black males who historically lean left that are all of a sudden moving to the right. Why? Because economically, they're being pushed down the ladder.
Facts.
Other people are coming, illegal immigrants that are being pushed forward and on the pedestal. Imagine this.
It's about the resources that are being used. That's why I care. When you have people that are displacing a population, then you should care. Because we can't go nowhere to another country and get food, housing, clothes, shelter, education, and health care. You on your own. They don't deserve any of that because they're not American citizens and they didn't pay into the system for that. Now, if you come and you figure it out, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't have to give you none of that shit. Period. Oh, let me show you this. This is in New York. Oh, dang, it didn't come up. Let me see if I can get it to come up. Okay, here we go. Dang, it ain't coming up. Okay, I know how to do this. Because I want to show this one.
Last month, a very popular YouTuber by the name of Nick Shirley happened to be in New York City. And he was in Manhattan on a street called Canal Street. Now, this street is notorious for, people going to get goods and clothes. Some of them are authentic, and many of them are
This
not.
is Kanganda. He lives in Uganda now.
And now what we're seeing is there are West African guys who are selling these things. And they're coming from the Francophone African countries, such as, Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Mauritania, those places. And this is kind of what it looks like.
Illegal migrant scams have taken over New York City as they control multiple blocks and sell counterfeit items, while some wear shirts that say, "I'm not a scammer," to trapping you in a photo with Pedro Parker in Times Square. These scams have exponentially grown as New York City welcomes
I love Nick
arms
Shirley.
from Africa and Latin America run lawless in America's biggest city. I hit the street to see these New York City scammers firsthand, and not only do these scammers yell when they see a camera, they also attack.
Now, the interaction when you go and you try to film what's going on this particular street is that these guys can be quite hostile.
How much? Yo, what's up? We don't do no fucking camera.
Hey.
Fucking pushing.
Hey.
Out of here with that shit.
Back up.
I said, you with your camera. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Who the fuck you work for? Bitch ass. Who the fuck you work for? Bitch, who you work for? Fuck you, nigga. Get the fuck out of here.
Now, this is an illegal immigrant.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You won't get fucked up. I'm telling you, bro.
Back up.
Fucked up over here.
Back up.
Get the fuck out of here. That's what y'all do, snitch ass mother. Look at yourself in there.
Hey.
Take that shit somewhere else.
Hey, why are you mad at me?
Keep it pushing.
If you look at the full video, you will actually see that these African migrants attacked this particular cameraman of Nick Shirley. And it got so bad that the particular man that was on the video, ICE ended up picking his ass up, as you can see here.
Sure did.
And that guy got deported back to Mali.
Yep.
Now, on a
As he
larger
should
scale,
have.
I've been here talking about Pan-Africanism, why I may call it Pan-Scamanism, and of course, I have caught a lot of slack, okay? But now I want to talk about some fundamental things. And the reality is this. If Pan-Africanism was really working, that means the Africa Free Trade was working. People were investing in the continent. People who are really working together in the continent or even with the diaspora. It would address what we're seeing here in America.
Facts.
Because what we're seeing here in America are African migrants who are in New York City and they're selling fake goods. Basically, they're scammers, all right? And they're hurting the American public. But why are they there in America in the first place? The reason why they're there in the first place is because Africa can't get its shit together. That's really why.
Facts.
Be more open about it while I'm even living in Africa to basically hold the mirror up to Africa's face. You see, when you take care of your own people, you take care of your own community.
Facts.
You have relationships with your border countries. This doesn't happen as much. This can actually solve its own issue because Africa is so great in resources. Africa has so much potential. Africa has, the Africa Free Trade Agreement that could be working. It has ECOWAS. It has the East African Community. It has Southern Africa. But when you can't work together or give for some people to support you, then you can't create the jobs in those countries. You can't create education in those countries.
Facts.
You can't create infrastructure in those countries. So what do you create by default? You create poverty. So now what you end up having are these African immigrants leaving for a better life. And where do they go? Let me give you a hint. They don't go to places in which is more poor. None of these guys from Mali will go to Burkina Faso, right? Shout out to Dr. Eric Khan on that. I don't know if he caught the joke. Yeah, they're not going to Burkina Faso. They're going to a place where they can survive and try to make
And they
something
still
for themselves.
illegal.
So whatever they have to do to get to America, they're going to get to America. And lo and behold, by no small chance do they end up in the Big Apple, where obviously, in New York City, it's a sanctuary city. So shit like this can happen there. It's easier to happen there. These guys are more protected, or they end up in Chicago, they end up in Los Angeles. But what happens? These are places where the rent is expensive. So these guys got to support themselves by any means necessary. They can't work. They'll probably struggle to speak English. So what do they got to do? They got to start scamming. And it's not that they want to scam, but this is the only way that they can survive. So now you have these guys beating up on the American public. And the reason why they're beating up on the American public is because their country failed to do what it was supposed to do, which is protect its citizens. But
Facts.
instead, you have these leaders of these respective countries, they're doing everything but protecting their citizens because they're too busy protecting their damn selves and their own bank accounts and becoming gatekeepers and seat holders and controlling their wealth among their little small elite circles. And then obviously that leads to trust, the erosion of the private sector, incentivization. It creates bottlenecks. And so eventually, time over time, talented people in these countries say, we can't make it here. There's no way for us to be here. There's no life for us here. I need to go away. If it's not to America, it's to Europe. So now Europe suffers. If it's not to Europe, it's to Dubai. Let me tell you about Dubai right now, the UAE. It's so many issues with certain African immigrants. In my beloved Uganda right now, there are people who are having an issue getting work visas into Dubai or to UAE. Same thing with Nigerians, right? Because, somebody goes out there, you get a few bad apples can ruin it for the rest of the people. And so Africans are also mistreated there because of those few small bad apples. And then we talk about Pan-Africanism isn't working, then somebody is a CIA agent and somebody's hating. How am I hating? We just literally saw these guys on Canal Street terrorizing Canal Street. And the reason why they're terrorizing Canal Street is because they were terrorized in their own home country. So now the only thing they know how to do is how to scam somebody else. This is not to say that every person can be like this, right? Because when you're smart and you're intelligent and you're doing good, the world typically doesn't speak for you. You don't really get a whole lot of props for it. We do know Africans can do good.
Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.